here's what was Mahomes' afternoon, Danny. Two real stats jump out. One, pressure percentage, 53% of the game when it's 22% normally. And his completion percentage was the lowest of his career at 44. What was your number one takeaway from the game?
That the Bills validated my preseason belief in them. Like I picked Josh Allen to be the MVP and the Bills to win the Super Bowl, and they finally looked like it. Like you'd questioning why I wasn't dropping them in my rankings, and I was like, I thought it was a 2-game blip and that they were really, really good. And I said on Friday's show, I was like, I want to see what the Bills defense can do. Like, do they have it in them? Like, because if they won the game 41-38, it would be like, okay, that was really exciting, but they still had this fundamental flaw on the defensive side of the ball because they had been beating up on bad teams. Yeah. But that performance, the Chiefs had scored 28 or more in 5 straight games. And we can show you what Mahomes was doing. You just showed his numbers in the game. What Mahomes was doing coming into that game, 4th in completion, 4th in passer rating.
Why does that say previous 5 games when you know what it should say?
Tackle that turns the tide.
Well, since the tackle that turned the tide is what it was.
Troy, is that a you thing?
Since
Troy,
just so you know, it's the tackle that turned the tide.
Not cool.
I'm glad that
Good job,
Not cool, Troy. Pack your stuff up.
Hey, Troy, I'll defend you here because I have a new idea.
No, don't.
For an acronym.
It's gonna, Danny,
Don't do it.
nobody is a bigger fan of yours than me. This is gonna be awful. If it's what you did on the walk-in, it's gonna be bad. I'm just telling you now.
Let's let the audience decide. Do you prefer tackle that turned the tide that resulted in a loss to Jacksonville and the worst game of Mahomes' career against Buffalo, or T3 man? Tackle that meant absolutely nothing.
Yes, like I said.
What?
Exactly.
T3 man. T-T-T-M-A-N.
Yeah, nobody likes
T3 man?
The tackle that
I told
meant
Danny I tried to save
nothing.
you from this.
Just because you got traded the Trumpeters to Wild.
T3 man sounds like a wrestling character.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I'm sorry. The show that brings out a magician and a literal doorstep. T3 man is a step too far.
Gianna has had second embarrassment for you. I'm just telling you right now.
Gianna, you have to.
Somebody's got to throw their bodies in front of that.
I got to be honest. I like you taking a stab at it, but
I told you, buddy.
Let's turn the tide.
You should have just said it.
Okay,
you shouldn't have labeled it. You should have just said it.
Here's the thing, Danny.
All right, no, I'm just saying the Bills were awesome.
Yes, like they are, and I know you.
No, you can't
hate this.
I loathe it. Go ahead.
I can do it.
Go ahead.
They were awesome, and Josh outplayed Patrick like they do every single year in this spot. Yeah. And we can try to twist our minds around to be like, but this one's different, like we do every single year. We can pretend like last year the same things weren't said, or the year before, because this is the ledger of Josh versus Patrick in the regular season. It's the last 5 years. It's not only that Josh is 5-0 if we show their stats, but it's the numbers are. Josh in these games looks like legitimately the best quarterback in football.
You look great.
And Patrick in these games looks bad. Not bad by his standards, not worse than Josh, bad. The Chiefs don't average 20 points. Mahomes' passer rating is 75. He has more turnovers than touchdowns.
That's just wild.
And yet, every year come the playoffs, the Chiefs don't beat the Bills because their defense is great in the playoffs. They beat the Bills because they take the Bills' absolute best defensive game plan imaginable that they give them the blueprint on every year in the regular season, and then come out in the playoffs with adjustments to it. That is simply what has happened. Now, I thought the Chiefs were going to be able to roll out a vanilla offensive game plan and move the ball at will on Buffalo. So I was dead wrong about how this game was going to go. Yeah. But the idea that this game is an indicator that if these two teams meet in January, it's going to be different than it's been every January, where the Chiefs take the lessons they learned in the regular season and apply them in the postseason. I don't know why we would think that.
I didn't say that. That's just like, I agree with you that in January, the Chiefs will get the benefit of the doubt because of their history in January. Point conceded. The thing is, though, we didn't know if this 2025 Bills defense was capable of doing that. Now we do. Like, if the Chiefs' plan was, let's go beat Buffalo with a vanilla game plan, that was a bad idea because they're the 8th seed right now. And they could lose to Houston. I don't expect them to, but they could because it's the NFL and weird things happen. And the Chiefs wake up today in 8th place, outside of the playoffs. You heard Mahomes. That's just dangerous. Maybe they'll get an injury. Maybe they'll have a kick blocked. Maybe they'll drop a touchdown pass. Maybe they'll have an injury at the wrong time. I don't believe that the Chiefs just go into the game against Buffalo and they're like, let's just not try hard.
It's a no.
Well, see, with
the game plan. I don't believe it.
If you guys can put that graphic with Mahomes versus Allen back on, that is, those stats, Nick, show that they do go in with a vanilla game plan. I mean, for Mahomes to have a 75 passer rating in 5 games, like that clearly is, we're not sharing our best stuff. What I want to ask you, though, is being that they're in the position they're in this year, 5-3, 7th seed going into the game, do you think that they still had that kind of approach where it's like, we're not going to show them anything?
So, listen, so 2 years ago, the Chiefs went into this game. Last year, it was weird. It was different because Chiefs were undefeated. They had a huge margin of error. 2 years ago, the Chiefs went into the game, I think, 8-3. And came out of the game, I might have the years wrong, went into the game the 4 seed in the AFC and came out of it with the 5th best record in the AFC. A year before that, the Chiefs went into the game with a chance to put basically in Buffalo's season. They were 6-6, drop them to 6-7. And I still thought it was, we want to win, but we are not firing all our bullets. And your point of they don't have the margin of error, or that if they woke up today as the 8th seed, I flatly, and this is not directed to you, this is to everyone, could not care less about if the playoffs started today stuff, because they don't. Because if there was a world where it's like, hey, we don't know how many games the season's going to be, and at any given time Goodell could be like, playoffs start, then you would always want to stay in the top 7. But we talk about SBOB stuff all the time. The Chiefs are more than any team post-Patriots in modern NFL history, SBOB. And they clearly have a pattern of, we are against the teams that we believe we have to go through in the postseason, which at this point is really just Buffalo. We are going to keep things in reserve for the playoff game. And well,
that's just dangerous, man, because now that game's probably going to be in Buffalo if it happens. And I know
Well, and they got a fight on their hands. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs, but I was saying earlier, Danny, the Chiefs are 1-4 against teams with winning records this year. And they got 4 of their last, 8 games against teams with winning records. So we're going to, and to your point, they've lost, 2 of their last 6 games? Which isn't
they're 5-2 post-tackle the turn.
Yeah, but that includes the Giants games, right? But I mean, they got a tough road ahead of them.
You want a final word?
No, I just have a question. If we can have one more minute, Christine, before we get to stock up, stock down. You're saying it's dangerous. My question would be why wouldn't it be more dangerous to be like, guys, this is the year. We're going to roll the dice and show we have seen, just like Jerry Hairston said, I saw on film that Xavier Worthy, indicates whether he's getting the ball or not. If the Chiefs saw on film leading up to this week, oh my God, that young safety, Cole Bishop, he has an indicator that it's stone dead on. Would you have, if you were running the team and you had a kill shot opportunity, would you have said, okay, fire that gun this week? Or we're going to hold that in reserve because we believe this is an inevitable game. And as far as this game being in Buffalo, maybe, but But if the Bills could finish with a better record than the Chiefs and a head-to-head tiebreaker, and if they don't catch the Patriots, it might not matter. And so, like, would you, if you had...
No, I wouldn't have said it to the media. I wouldn't have said that I found the guy's tell to the media, but I would have taken advantage of it. I just don't believe that you can just be giving away regular season games. I don't think the last 5 weeks when the Chiefs looked like the greatest show on turf, they were doing it with vanilla game plans. I think they were trying to score a bunch of points. I think they were trying to win that football game. I think they were trying to score points, and they didn't do it.
All right, let's head to Cincinnati for a check-in on the stock market. This game featured 3 touchdowns in the last 103 seconds and ended with either a great play or horrible tackling from Cincinnati. And here to sort it out is this week's edition of Stock Up and Stock Down.
The stock is up on Caleb Williams and his undeniable talent. There's no question that Cincinnati's defense is a part of it, and there's no question that these guys are going to mock me for the chart here and the stat that we're using.
Fantasy points?
Here's the reason it's fantasy points,
not
Nick.
mad at it.
Here's the reason, okay? I understand that, listen, I don't even have him on any of my fantasy teams, but when you are the first person in NFL history to do something, it shows why people like me believe in the talent. First player in NFL history with 3 or more passing touchdowns, 50 or more rushing yards, and 2 or more catches. It's never been done before. Yeah, that's right.
It's the 2 catches is the thing.
Stop
I still thought it was cool.
What do you mean, stop it? The guy had 2 catches.
Who cares about the catches from a
He's
quarterback?
an undeniable athlete. He's an undeniable talent.
He is a great
He has
athlete.
3 game go-ahead fourth quarter drives in the last 5 games. His fourth quarter passer rating is the best of any quarter that he plays in. In their last 6 wins, he has a fourth quarter go-ahead drive in 4 of the 6 of them. The kid is getting better, Brew.
He is.
It's undeniable how good that his ceiling is limitless. He's not there yet. He's
I
not
think
at
you're
his
going
ceiling.
a little far. Look nice step in the right direction.
on.
But 5 words just to bring it down a notch. Carson Wentz and Justin Fields. That's 5 words. Because they look this good against that Bengals defense as well.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even bring those guys up if he had done it against somebody other than the Bengals and the Cowboys.
So there was
7 touchdowns, no picks in
They're saying he
those
was
2
in a
games.
no-win.
Like about a
Right.
127
Just like the
passer
Bills.
rating. And then in the other 6 games, he's got 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. I'm just saying, like, it was a step in the right direction. You play who's in front of you, but don't expect me to throw a parade because he looked great against the hapless Cincinnati Bengals.
I had a parade planned. I settled for stock up, stock down. It's very tough. The Bills had nothing that they could gain against the Chiefs. The Caleb has nothing to prove against Cincinnati. We're playing
I
the
did
games.
say, and I texted you guys during the game, this was a good test for him when he got the ball with
Well, that's
40
what I-
seconds.
that-
54
that was
seconds,
good. That
and he
was good.
scored with
I will
17
give him
seconds
that.
left.
That's the part of this that I'm a little surprised by your take on. Because Wilds has the chat on mute, but the rest of us were in a group chat on Sunday.
It's a fun chat.
And Danny was mid-meltdown as the Bears were melting down. And then, Brew, you texted, big moment for Caleb. He then came through in a way none of us thought was going to happen. Like, Danny, you thought they were going to get him in field goal range.
That's right, and then the kicker was gonna miss.
the kicker was going to miss, which felt very Bearsy. And they end up scoring a touchdown. And that, to me, for a guy who has been, I think one of the fairest criticisms of him has been he is too much of an emotional roller coaster. To have the entire team take that stomach punch of the onside kick recovery, which just never happens, and then giving up the touchdown, and for him to be calm, cool, and collected driving down the field, I thought that was the best moment of his career.
Danny, just
It was good.
question. Were you worried about the Bears' special teams and defense for giving up 42 points?
Listen, the defense, their secondary is so injured that it's one of the worst special teams games I've ever seen. You gave up a return touchdown to open the game, had a big return negated by a hold, missed the field goal, and allowed an onside kick recovery. It's like an impossibly bad special teams game. Richard Hightower on the hot
That
seat.
was a trap.
Why? Well, how was it a trap?
It's like, what are you going to do? You're playing the Bengals. They score a lot. Then I'd flip it and be like, well, it's okay. I'll be fine.
Yeah, I didn't walk into it, or did I walk into it?
Negotiated well.
I don't know.
All right,
What
next
goes
up,
up?
stock down. Yeah.
Let's go down, stock down. Yeah. Something's off with your Packers, Brew. And I don't know exactly what it is. The data here is just points scored, 13 against the Panthers. And I understand Jordan Love is not a part of their run defense, which got gashed by Rico Dotto. And I understand that McManus, their kicker, is getting booed at home, and a million things happened in this game, and for the most part, Jordan Love was good. Well, let's go on a journey with me in the middle of stock up, stock down.
Okay.
Jordan Love has 3 interceptions this year.
Yeah.
Let's watch all 3 of them. The first one is against Cleveland. This is
the worst pick of the season.
Arguably the worst pick of the season. It's the only way they can lose the game, and they end up losing the game to the Cleveland Browns. I have no idea why it happened, how it happened. He just threw it right to the opponent, and that should never happen in that spot. They were a massive favorite, and they lose.
Hence the nickname.
Jay
No.
No. Right. Yeah. The next one is against Cincinnati. It hits 2 different Bengals in the hands. We just talked about the Bengals defense. Takes points off the board. They're in the red zone. It's early. They end up winning off one Bengal, off the next Bengal. It's 3rd and 5. It's not the worst pick I've ever seen, but it had no chance of being completed. And then we go, after the Bengals won, it goes a few weeks without, to this pass yesterday. Into the wind is what Packers fans would say, but this is triple coverage on first down.
A team meeting.
A team meeting. Totally unnecessary. There's a guy wide open in the flat. I have no idea what he could possibly see. And it's just hard because then there was the one that ends up being dropped that was comical. And I know Dobbs steps out of bounds and he takes himself out of the play. He's good enough to beat you until he's good enough to beat himself. And I just cannot trust this guy when in year 5, these are the mistakes that he's still making.
No, look, I mean, there is something about J-Lo that he makes some boneheaded plays. Right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And that's what he's got to get out of. I don't know what in the world was going on yesterday with him or the team. I would put it here. It's immaturity. On his part.
In year 5?
And yeah, I mean, but it shouldn't be there, but unfortunately it is. But that's what it is. And on the team's part, they clearly took that game lightly yesterday. You know, and you can't have that when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. So I admit that J-Lo yesterday, it was just one J-No moment after.
Listen, it's why after the Micah trade, I called him the most interesting person in the league this year. Because if he is just steady, they can absolutely make the Super Bowl. But to your point, Danny, he's one of the most untrustworthy, really good quarterbacks in football. That's what I would call him.
Yeah, he is really good.
He is one of the really good quarterbacks in football and one of the least trustworthy, of that group.
Okay. All right, last one, and we're ending on a positive. Stock up Steelers defense. Wow. I know, and this is opponent passer rating, so the lowest it's been in 5 weeks. I know you could say this is Daniel Jones turning into a pumpkin, but the Steelers defense is a who's who of names we know. They are spending more money on the defensive side of the ball than any team in football, and they have a first-ballot Hall of Fame coach who is known for his defense, who consistently has them in the regular season as a top 10 defense. And one of the best offenses through 8 weeks that we had seen in NFL history, that was on graphics with the 18 Chiefs and the 07 Patriots and the 09 Saints and the 24 Lions, went in there and they forced 6 turnovers. I was wildly impressed with what the Steelers defense did given who they were playing. And if they can get this version of Aaron Rodgers with any semblance of that version of that defense, they'll be dangerous in the AFC.
Wow. Wilds, I mean, you the one been killing them all day. You know?
They're dangerous until you do a draft of teams you want to play in the playoffs, and I would pick the Steelers first.
They actually beat your team.
For the record, we gave them the ball 5 times, and it wasn't like, oh my gosh, what a play. It's just coughing up the ball.
Yeah, hold on. Against you guys, it was a lot of coughing up the ball. These are forced turnovers.
Exactly.
This was Danny Dimes. Well, yes, Danny Dimes having a pumpkin game.
I don't think so.
If you run this game 10 times, you think this happens? How many times?
I don't know. That looks like prime T.J. Watt to me. Beating a very good offensive line, beating a good tackle, getting to the quarterback in less than 2.5 seconds.
If you listen to Mike Tomlin's full press conference there, wasn't like over the moon for this, and I don't think Tomlin's not ready to like have a parade in Pittsburgh either.
But I mean, we do have a way we kind of settle
games,
like. Who's better? We have a way to settle that.
How do we settle it, Drew?
You play each other.
I agree.
They played the Patriots.
They played the Patriots. Between the Patriots game and the Colts game, there was 11 turnovers from the defense. They won by 2 touchdowns. It's weird. All I'm saying is weird.
I agree. I'm just saying Rodgers has been better than most of us expected. The Steelers' defense has been worse than all of us expected. If they could somehow get,
They're not scary.
I mean, well,
They
you
could
guys
get
you can
this
say
version
they're
of
not
the Steelers'
scary.
defense.
I am if the divisional winners are Patriots, Steelers, Colts. If those are the 3 divisional winners, I don't know how teams would draft who they want to play in that list. Drake May in his first playoff start, Daniel Jones in the Colts, or if you're saying if the Steelers make it Rodgers, like I'm not sure if it's as cut and dry
I would
as you put it.
personally sign up to play the Steelers. Not me personally, Kevin Wild.
You'd rather play the Steelers than the Colts. And who do you think the Colts would rather
Robert.
play? You guys or the Steelers?
I think the
I
Steelers
think they want to
love
play
to
Steelers.
play
The fact that they shut down Jonathan Taylor, I thought was impressive.
Yeah,
So if you're going to neutralize, he had 45 yards, I think, and he was over 100, averaging over 100. So look, something. It's not a stock I'm like interested in.
okay.
To be honest with you, you're trying to sell.
It's
it
like
to
a
me.
buy and hold.
Yeah,
It's not going to make or break your portfolio. You're not retiring off of it, but it's a steady part of a portfolio.
I'm going to get into AI.
Anna Rossini, Greg Jennings out here, and we have breaking news. Chargers left tackle Joe Alt is going to need surgery on the ankle injury he suffered against the Titans yesterday, which will unfortunately end his season. So we'll talk Caleb and Jaden in just a bit. This is a huge blow for the Chargers. Justin Herbert's been the most pressured quarterback in football. They were undefeated. They still are undefeated in games that Joe Alt starts. Obviously, the Slater injury, then their third-string tackle, Pipkins, has been in and out of the lineup with injury. I feel like there's a breaking point in how many offensive line injuries you can sustain, and this is a huge one for the Chargers.
Yeah, especially somebody like Joe who, started the season with the understanding I'm going to play right tackle. Then you move him to left tackle, and then he creates that stability, as you mentioned, when he is in the lineup. We saw what it looked like in the games that he missed. And it's unfortunate because we all want to see Justin Herbert and this Chargers team make a deep playoff run if they are capable of doing that, which that doesn't mean that they still can't. But losing a guy like this that solidifies who you are up front, even with the injuries that you already have, is a big blow.
You always hear one player doesn't make a difference, right? That's kind of like the safe way to say every player is important. Not for the Chargers. He is the most important person on this team outside Justin Herbert, right? They're 4-0 when he finishes the game. They're 2-3 this season. You don't even need to be an expert in football to see how different the Chargers play when Joe Alt is in there. And just the confidence it gives Justin Herbert knowing he's safe, he's getting protected out there by Joe Alt. So it's really such a big blow, especially knowing who's in their division, right? The pass rush that they've got to face.
Yeah.
Kansas City's in this thing. The Denver Broncos are in this thing. I just think this is going to be a really tough challenge for the Chargers to figure this out. And we're really going to see what Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh are made of and how they're going to figure this out. And the trade deadline coming up here in less than 24 hours.
Yep.
They're already making calls for an offensive lineman for Slater. And now they're going to have to make more. So we'll see how this shakes out.
Good luck. Yeah, there's not a guy that's going to be available that can replace him. Straw that broke the camel's back. I think one too many injuries for them. But let's get back to the reaction from a massive Sunday yesterday. Want to play a game?
Yeah.
Guess who?
Play it.
Did your quarterback throw for 280 yards and score 4 total touchdowns and rush for over 50? No? Anybody? No? Mine did. It was Caleb Williams. Led the Bears to a 47-42 victory over the Bengals, the game winner to Colston Loveland. I know that they can have their eyes rolled at that, and I know that this is not a perfect team, and I know that that was Joe Flacco and the Cincinnati Bengals. But man, I am happy Ben Johnson is the coach of the Bears because they got something going there. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? No. Are they going to make the playoffs? It's a coin flip at this point. But the improvement that they are showing, and we are only halfway into year one of the Caleb Williams-Ben Johnson marriage, and the vibes have changed, and they also have had plenty of injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I am very bullish on the near-term future and the long-term future of this pair.
Yeah, this is the best coaching that we've seen in the Chicago Bears organization in a really long time.
Since Lovie Smith.
This is the difference, right? I think we obsess over Caleb's game-to-game improvement. I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. I think the stock is up on Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears team collectively. It's still going to be up and down for Caleb, but in a league where we want to see improvement immediately every week and we want to see him be a superstar quarterback, I just think that the program that Ben Johnson has instilled already and installed in this team it's working, right? It's working. It may not be as fast as everybody wants it, but it's only week 9, headed into week 10 here in November. So I think they're ahead of the game in terms of where they were just 2 weeks ago. They've got their ground game going. That's what they've been focused on. It's quite obvious. And they're doing it without Swift as well.
Yeah, look, it was a good win, really good win for this Bears team. A lot of what you guys are talking about is what everyone was hoping to see. Ben Johnson stepping into a head coach role. How would that look? How will it translate in terms of not just being a play caller? We're seeing that. We're seeing the growth of Caleb. When you need him to make a play, we saw him make a play. Like, it was ugly because they were in control of this game, lost control of it, and then you draft a quarterback at that spot for these reasons right here. And it was great because as a Michigander, it was cool to finally see they had a tight end.
Yeah, you love Colston Loveland. Yeah.
He can. I thought that this would be kind of the role that he plays in this offense, and you see a glimpse of what he can be as an asset in the passing game for a quarterback, a young quarterback that is, in Caleb Williams. I think he needs to be a lot more involved. Hopefully, this is a sign of what's to come. If it is, they have more and more options starting to arise.
So let me ask you this, Greg. Like, Caleb Williams has now played 25 games. All right, it's not a huge body of work. To your point, there's a lot of, like, is he ahead of schedule, behind schedule, a lot of comparisons to Drake May, Jaden Daniels, all that stuff. But it's 25 games. It's not that much. But he already has 7 go-ahead or game-tying drives in the fourth quarter. I've watched every snap of this guy's career at least one time through. It is very apparent to me, and the numbers do back it up, but, like, it's just obvious if you watch it. He has, like, that thing, that it factor, ice in his veins, whatever. He gets better and cooler and calmer and collected in the fourth quarter. How much does that matter from a pass catcher, a player, a teammate perspective?
So I think it matters quite a bit. And I've said this about Caleb when I first started watching him. He just seems more comfortable when he doesn't have to think a lot. And you, a novice fan, would think, well, wait, when the game's on the line, you gotta believe that the quarterback is thinking quite a bit. Well, naturally, your play call completely shrinks. You got to go with what's working, what the defense is showing, what you feel like you can check into, and it's just go out there and play, hit the open guys. If it's there, take it. If it's not, use your legs, and that's where he thrives. So in moments like this, when we saw him yesterday, this is where there's no extra thinking. There's no ability for him to then overthink. You can build on that, especially with a head coach like Ben Johnson, because he talked about the process and it's going to be growing pains, but this is what you want to see in the direction you want to see him trending.
The thing you're praising him for is the thing we were knocking him for a bit last year, right? The off-script plays, that instinctive athleticism that we heard so much about coming out of the draft. And I think you're right. When the pressure's on, he's just going with what feels right, and the natural athlete is coming out. What stood out to me, though, for the Bears and why you should be confident in this team more is a lot of self-inflicted wounds, right? Yes, it's the Bengals, it's Joe Flacco, I get it. But the fact that they were able to figure out a way to win, it's not always going to be pretty. And you heard the coach talk about it. You can't take these wins for granted. You saw New England yesterday, right? A lot of self-inflicted wounds with Drake May. They figure it out. And when you figure it out, you start trusting each other more, right? And you start having more confidence in what you can do. That if you do get yourself in trouble, someone will step up and take care of business. And I think they prove to themselves that they can get themselves out of their own way a bit.
You want maybe the most self-serving graphic that I've ever put on TV
Please,
before?
do it.
This is very, you want it, Greg? You ready for this?
Of course.
The first player since 1983 with 2 passing touchdowns, 50 or more rushing yards, and 2 catches. Caleb and Sweetness. Caleb Williams, and it hasn't happened since Walter Payton in 1983.
You just gloat, my friend.
I'm just saying.
Don't
saying.
Have your moment.
Paul Hornung did it too in the Hall of Fame. Walter Payton did it in the Hall of Fame. Caleb Williams, future in Canton. Greg, I'll see you there 2038, 2040. What do we think? Probably like 2045.
I'm not ready to say that, but I will say this. Your point, Diana, like a lot of these games that they lost last year, this would have been in that loss column of games that they found a way to lose last year.
Oh, I was thinking about the Hail Mary against Washington when Joe Flacco lined up for it. I was thinking about it.
And when you find ways to win this game, you mentioned something, it breeds confidence. it breeds this idea of we're not the same as last year. We understand we've been in these situations. We know what it takes and what's required of us to come out on the other side. And when you do it, it trickles into win after win after win after win. So we'll see.
All right, let's go to the game last night. Guy in Caleb Williams' draft class. Commanders fall 38-14. Seahawks look dominant, but this is a blowout. They're down 31 midway through the fourth quarter, and Jaden Daniels leaves the game with an elbow injury.
A bummer and a mistake.
A bummer and a mistake. Thank you.
Yeah, and he came out and admitted today. He said it's making him sick thinking about what he did, obviously keeping his scrambling quarterback, who's already got two legs that are injured, in the game too long. I think the best people to talk about this situation with is backup quarterbacks, and Chase Daniel, one of my colleagues on our podcast, was saying, as a backup quarterback, you always know when it's your turn to go in. He's like, and if I'm on the backup quarterback, I'm thinking I'm starting the fourth quarter. Like, what are you doing? This isn't a 3-score game. It's they're 4 scores out. What are you proving? And when I talked to some people in Washington about perhaps what that philosophy was, it was to try to get the offense confident.
Yes.
And in rhythm. That's what it was about.
You gotta do it.
It wasn't just sacrificing your quarterback out there. It was to compete and to attempt to build on something. So yes, you take that risk. And look, we see what happens when you.
It's easy to Monday morning quarterback.
It is.
I will say, I'm always talking about this in the like Thursday night. Ravens are up 3 scores late against Miami, and they're turning around and handing the ball off to Derrick Henry. I'm like, why? For what? And it apparently was so he could have like a 100-yard game. I'm like, what is it, 1995? How is that relevant?
Yeah.
Like, to me, the risk of injury, and I know a guy like me saying that to a guy like you has to feel ridiculous to a guy like you. I get it. But to me, the upside of get in a rhythm or put something good on film versus the downside of maybe Jaden Daniels' season being over is just not worth it.
Yeah, and you just don't think that way as a player, as a competitor, even as a coach in the competitive moments in the confines of a game. You're thinking, how can I turn on the tape on Monday and have something positive to then point to? That's all it is.
Yep.
When you are getting demolished, and they were in that game, not a whole lot was going their way offensively and or defensively. You're trying to establish some type of rhythm going into the following week. So when you do sit down and turn on that tape, which you know the game is in hand, we are going to lose this game. But I want there to be something positive that we can hang our hat on going into the following week of practice and our next opponent, to say, you know what, guys, we did do some things good. We were able to establish this. We were able to establish that. It all is for naught when the injury happens, because you start to think, hindsight 2020, like, man, we should have took him out. You don't think that way as a player, as a coach, because your competitive drive is the only thing firing in that moment. And most people, most coaches even, aren't thinking, I got to protect my players.
Devil's advocate real quick. Let's say Jaden Daniels scores on that play. Do you really think the Commanders are feeling better today? You know, like Jaden Daniels.
You're watching the tape.
He's in the NFC Championship game last year. He's the Rookie of the Year. We know he's awesome. They still lose by 21. Like, you think it feels much better?
See, it's easy for me to say no because I know they lost. But if they score and then we don't know what happens afterwards, that's the part that's unknown.
The game was over.
Naturally, as a competitor, if I'm out there and you're asking every bit of me 100%, let's go. Line it up.
This poor fan base that saw RG3, though, right? They're so sensitive to
They
this.
are.
So today they're waking up like, not again.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.